Can you hear me? Can you hear me? No audio? Hmm. Can you hear me? I can't hear you either. Uh, I think that's on your end, bro. I got everything working over here.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, good. Sorry about the confusion.
You're good, dude. You're good.
So, um, okay. So, any questions before we start off, or
No,
no?
let it rip.
Okay. Well, we'll start out this tough enough movement with Brandon Carlisle. I've got Brandon Allen here, professional arm wrestler, professional power lifter, coach. Let's just get a basic introduction of yourself before we.
Yeah, dude. So thanks for having me on. Um, oh, so we got the dogs going crazy. Um,
Happens.
yeah, no, I grew up in, well, yeah, like the basics is, yeah, professional power lifters. I kind of pushed that to the took that to the furthest level I could have. And then I got into arm wrestling due to a couple series of events. But more general background. I grew up in LA. Um, not much to that. Kind of worked all over LA to Southern California, like down to San Diego, so Orange County, San Diego area. And then in 2012, I moved to Las Vegas. Just wanted to get out of California. I'm sure people can understand why.
Yep.
And then out here in Vegas, I was like balancing and stuff like that, running the clubs and doing that kind of thing. And then it came to a point where me and my wife were, I met my wife Jenny out here, and we were driving an hour to this gym to train at every day because we lived in North Las Vegas. And the only gym in town that had like that would let me do the powerlifting stuff that I would do, because mind you, early 2010s, like powerlifting and you know deadlifting at a gym wasn't anything popular like it is today. It was very frowned upon. It wasn't really done. So at the Syndicate MMA is where I used to train at. But we're driving this hour so far, one way every day, and then an hour back, and it was like, all right, we got to open a gym up here. So we ended up opening up a small gym called Filthy Power Gym, and that's where I started taking my training like to the next level. I was at the gym 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, just running it, and then doing my own training and training my clients and things like that. I took I took I was just a decent power lifter when we started the gym. I was I was definitely good and a lot of potential, but having your own spot and I took it to the next level and really pushed it hard. Um, Ended up breaking the Nevada record, which was held by Stan Efferdine at the time. I was super proud of that. And then around that time is where Chad Wesley Smith came into my life, and he started coaching me and took my training to a whole different level and taught me so much about strength and how things work. And I went from just being a gym bro meathead, just going hard every day, what felt good at the gym, and then into following structured programming and understanding how muscles adapt and how to cater things to different people and to make things work. So Chad Wesley Smith, Juggernaut Training Systems, he really took me to that top level. Obviously, my wife's help as well, feeding me. It's hard when you're 6'1" and you're competing with these monsters in the powerlifting super heavyweight division. I was 375 pounds at my largest, and that couldn't have been done without my wife. You know what I mean? It's hard enough to eat all that food, and then you have to cook it too. It just makes it impossible. It's just really rough.
Yeah, it's
But
like a full-time job having to feed that.
dude, people don't understand. That's what like people don't understand what it is to be big, and unless they've been big before, they don't know. I hear all the time from people, man, I eat so much you don't even know. I'm like, I'm looking at you, dude. This is fucking science. Like
Yeah,
you don't eat shit.
you're
You
not
eat
there.
right. You eat very little. You think you eat a lot, times it by 3, and then do it for 10 years, and then you'll know what eating a lot is like. So yeah, just the force feeding, getting up to that size. My claim to fame, 2018, I was like infamous for a drop deadlift that cost me $30,000 at the current in 2018. I was going head to head with Yuri Belkin for the overall in the Wilks formula, which is gay as fuck. It favors the skinny little guys and it fucks the big guys, just like
Yeah.
dots, the new shit they use. In what world do you out total a guy by 200 pounds and lose to him in a strength event? But I was I remember I was in second place to Yuri with the Wilks formula. I think I needed to pull 887 in order to beat him. And we were only planning on like an 860 deadlift or something like that. It would have put me in the 2,400 pound total mark. I think I was at 2,380 after my second attempt deadlift of 843. And Chad's like, dude, just get the 2,400 pound total. I'm like, what does it matter? I'm like, I got second place either way. Like, let's go for fucking first place. I want
Yeah,
to
go
win
for the fucking win if
right. I
you're
want to
already
win the
set
40
there,
grand.
then
Right. What's to get 20 extra pounds? I'm not interested in that. I want to win. So I went for it. I swung for the fence and I fucking deadlifted 887 as far as to a deadlift of a deadlift to count in a powerlifting meet, fully locked out, get the down command. It fucking rolls out of my hand on the down command, tears a huge patch of skin off with it. I mean, I did everything I can to hang on to that fucking bar. And it haunts me. I watched that video so many times. I couldn't like chase the bar down and maybe got away with it, maybe got one red, you know what I mean?
yeah,
It
work on
is
those
what it
acting
is.
skills a little bit. Like, oh yeah, I followed it.
Right. I meant to do that, and it was like in home court, a USPA event, you know what I mean? Those are my people, but it is what it is. And then I remember I had a pretty funny drive home, 6-hour drive home, and I'm ranting on Instagram. And that was talked about for a minute. It was pretty funny, just, the wave of emotions. I'm not even mad. And then I'm fucking pissed. And, especially at that time, like, for $30,000 was a big fucking deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
And
chunk of
it was the
change.
biggest money that was seen in a powerlifting event. So I would have won 41,000 if I locked out that deadlift. But I ended up winning 11,000 for second place overall. Was 10 grand and 1,000 for winning the super heavyweight division. But again, in what world do you out total the next guy by 200 pounds and lose to him? It's fucking bullshit.
Yeah,
But
only powerlifting.
yeah, right. And then that shortly after that was Big Dogs 3. I had been invited to Big Dogs several years prior, which is the big meet in Australia. I wasn't going to go until I was ready to win. The year before I thought I was ready. I wasn't though. I'm glad I didn't go the year before. In hindsight, obviously. And then Andre Mahalachev was there. I really wanted to compete against Andre. He was the first 1,000-pound raw squat. I at that time there was only 2 other Americans who had done a raw squat in competition, and maybe 5 in the world. So I was, I knew I was going to hit 1,000-pound raw squat at, in Big Dogs. I was really hoping Andre would be there. I was really hoping Dan Bell would be there. Both of those 2 guys, unfortunately, did not go. But other than that, it was all the top dogs in the entire world, the top 9. Me and Sean Doyle were the only 2 guys from the U.S. out there. And, we go out to Big Dogs 3. Mind you, prepping for Kern 2018, which was in, I think, like June. I already had a partial tear in my patella tendon. It was one of those things where I was blasting BCP 157 and CB 500 growth hormone and saying, fuck it. I was living very recklessly back then, very recklessly.
Yeah.
And we got to Australia. I actually wasn't even able to do my last squat training session and prep for Australia because my knee was so inflamed and we are so worried about it. We figured it was better to let it rest than to get that CNS adaptation. So I went out to Australia, squatted 1,008 pounds. I had the second highest squat in the day, second to Odell Manuel, who squatted 1,014. If you watch that squat, I definitely had more in me, but we're playing the long game, trying to win it through the deadlift and the bench. I ended up shitting the bed on bench press. My second attempt was 687, or I'm sorry, 567. I wish 687. 67. Just didn't go well, wasn't focused, missed it. Had to retake that attempt on my third, smoked it. In hindsight, I should have went up. But it kind of set me up for a big deadlift. Which was, maybe a little out of reach, right? And at that time too, no one had squatted 1,000 and deadlifted 900 in a meet. That had not been done, so I wanted to be the first guy to do that. But again, going into the third attempt deadlift, I could have pulled 881, 400 kilos, and which would have been conservative at that time for what I was capable of. I mean, I would have been redlining, but definitely manageable. I had pulled 887 4 or 5 months prior. I just didn't set it down. So I'm on the phone with Chad Wesley Smith, and it's like 2 a.m. here in the United States, and I'm like, hey, I'm in third place with coming into my last deadlift. If I can pull 881, secure second place, beat Odell Manuel, or I can go for, the 900, 898, which actually wouldn't have even been 900, but that, it is what it is. That's what I needed to win and to beat Peter Petrus from Czech Republic. And we went for the 898. And again, it was one of those things, man. It was as close as it can get before I was, right in that sticking point that I hit right above my knee. And it's like literally a quarter of an inch. If I can get that one little jerk up, maybe like a cheat little ramp or something like that, I could have got it, but I wasn't able to. I saw stars and went down. But yeah, so I was a part of the heaviest powerlifting podium ever. Everyone had a 2,400 pound or higher total. I had 2,430 in third place, which is crazy, right? I've gotten gold in every event I've ever done, other than my biggest
Your
total ever
biggest
done.
total. That
Yeah,
just shows the caliber of competition that was there. It's like for most people, that's unfathomable to get to those kind of levels. Like
yeah, you
2,000
had to
total, it's
have
like whoa. But
yeah, you had to have a 1,000 pound squat, a 600 pound bench, and a 850 deadlift. You know what I mean? Like it was just it was fucking nuts, dude. And
yeah,
again, everything I was doing was nuts. I was redlining in terms of force feeding the food. I wasn't really crazy about running gear that hard back in 2018, 2019. I was 2016, I was running quite a bit of gear, and I had a little bit of a health scare, and that kind of really made me reevaluate things and pull back. And then I started learning about my body, and like, wow, you respond very well to half the amount of gear that you do the other one, but you sleep 10 times better, so recovery's higher, things like that. Definitely made a lot of mistakes. So that I survived the 1,008 pound squat. We get back. Kern 20,000 or 2019 is coming up. I was, the total at that time, the all-time world record total was 2,503. I believe by Andre Mahalachev. And we were very confident at like a 7 for 9, I would break that record at the next one. So we're prepping for that. Again, blasting the peptides in my knee, the growth hormone in my knee, trying to get it to heal. We knew it was fucked up, but didn't know how bad. Um, I I had Andy Huang from Iron Rebel out, and the Iron Rebel film crew was out there at my gym at 50 Power, and I was warming up, for a big squat that day. I think I was close to the top set, maybe the second to last. I think 950 or 970 was supposed to be the top set, and I was at the 925, and squatting 925 pounds in the hole, sunk all the way down the hole. My right patella tendon finally snapped, and my quadricep completely snapped off the bone, rolled up to my hip. My kneecap shifted over. It was quite dramatic. It's actually the 5, I think, year anniversary is coming up here next month. But
oh yeah.
6. But yeah, so no, it'd be 5. So the knee snaps. I still stand up with the 925 somehow. It's a fucking miracle. It's got to be a world record pistol squat.
I think it is. Me and my brother watched it because I followed you and I was like, and I tagged my brother. I was like, how the fuck do you squat that with one leg? Like that, to finish that squat is the most impressive thing I've ever seen. Well,
My left knee is very, very strong, right? So my doctor even said, and he's a specialist out here in Vegas, this is what he deals with. He's like, dude, he's like 95% of all these cases, when you snap one of them, the other one's going to snap because all your weight shifts over to the other leg. And not even just the weight that snapped the one knee, double the weight in theory, because everything, shift over. So I don't know how it survived it, but it did. And, so I had the knee repaired. Fucking mind you, I just opened up another gym closer in town in Vegas, and it was a bigger gym, it was a lot more that we took on. And I just had my knee repaired, so I'm barely walking, I'm barely moving. This is now about 4 months after my knee surgery, so now I'm moving okay. I'm getting around. I can do body weight squats and things like that. My knee is still blown up and swollen. My quad's still swollen. It's still tender. And I was riding my bike, my Harley, to my gym, and I get fucking smoked. I got T-boned at 50 miles an hour on my way to the gym. And that I catapulted over my bike. I landed head first, whiplashed my back into the ground. I ended up cracking 5 vertebrae in my spine, cracked my pelvis, cracked my elbow, all kinds of fucked upness. It was luckily not too bad a road rash, because we all know road rash fucking sucks.
yeah.
But yeah, so my head took most of the impact. Luckily, I got a big ass fucking head. I remember in that accident. It was funny. I was kind of thinking about it today. But I remember like being in the air and like reaching for the ground as I can feel my legs coming over me. And then when I hit the ground and then I was laying there, I couldn't believe I was still awake. I remember like hitting the ground and like laying there and be like, holy fuck, I'm still awake. And what now? Like it was like, Vegas, it was like 100 degrees. So the ground was like 115. It was the responding fire officer was like, oh shit, it's Brandon Allen. He's like, how's your knee? It was a fucked up experience, right? And I couldn't feel my lower half of my body. The impact was so great. It was nerve damage and stuff. I was, I thought I was paralyzed. It was pretty fucked up. And go to the ICU, or what is it? Yeah, ICU, or whatever the hospital is in Vegas. But and my wife, she gets the text message and she shows up, and I end up pulling through that one. And I still have the gym, and at this time the Las Vegas arm wrestling team, they were having practices at my gym. A good friend of mine, Eric Spoto, I'm sure you guys in the strength world know that name. World record bench press, 722 pounds raw.
Yep.
But a lot of people don't know is Eric Spoto is also one of the best, strongest arm wrestlers, not best, strongest arm wrestlers in the world as well. So they were having practice at my gym, and I was, I still in my head, I'm like, no, I'm still going to be a power lifter. Like, I'm not ready to give
Yeah, you
this
don't
up.
wanna give it up.
Yeah, I was still benching 500 pounds pretty easily. And I was like, once this back and this knee heals up, it'll take some time, but I'll be squatting 1,000 again, and, won't be long, and deadlifting 900, and, just kind of unrealistic expectations, just because I've always been able to pull through and things. But all my other injuries were in my early 20s, not at this time I was 30, 31.
Yeah.
But people say, man, things change when you turn 30. They're not fucking lying, especially like me. I got miles, I started training at 12 years old. So my 30-year-old body was like a fucking 60-year-old body to some people in terms of the abuse and the miles I put on it. But anyways, I had no interest in the arm wrestling really. I thought it was cool. I just I did it a couple times and it hurt so bad. Your elbows hurt so bad after. And you can't bench press when you arm wrestle. Just, you cannot do the two at a high level, at least. If you get at arm wrestling, your bench press is going to go down a lot.
Yeah.
And if you care about bench pressing, you can't arm wrestle. So that's kind of where my head was still. I was like, the one lift I got is bench press. I can't fucking give that up to this arm wrestling shit. And then one day Spoto hits me up and he's like, hey dude, you got to come to the gym tonight, come to practice. A world champion's going to be here. His name's Devin Larrett. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, sure, I'll come. World champion. I don't care if you're a world champion swimmer. I want to meet you.
I'll come see.
You're the best in the world at it. So yeah, I want to see it. So I come to the gym, and Eric's got 24-inch fucking arms. One of the most powerful human beings I've ever met. And and if Eric didn't have a bad motorcycle accident when he was younger, he would be a full power guy. That would be a wreck. He would be one of the guys. You know what I mean? But just the strength that this guy has, it's just people have different muscles, man. This guys are different. But Devin walks in, I see this tall, lengthy Canadian with his knuckles dragging on the floor, very unimpressive build, just tall and lengthy, and like forearms as thick as his biceps. I was like, that's odd, that's interesting. And just doesn't look like anything much. And Spoto's like, that guy will fucking murder me. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
He's like, that dude will murder me. I'm like, no. And they get on the table and I see it with my own two eyes, and I'm like, whoa, okay. All right, there's something to this. I got to learn this. That's interesting. How could I felt Spoto on the table? He hold him with two hands. He's gonna pull you across the fucking table. And Devin, here he is, working him and shit. I'm like, all right, interesting. So this was like started 2020, I believe, or no, the end of 2020. No, started 2020 around that time. I ended up having a gyno removal surgery around that time, because at this time I was still north of 300 pounds and I wanted to slim down. I was always self-conscious about the gyno from the years of using PEDs. So I had that removed. And then after that's healing up, I'm like, all right, well, let's pursue this arm wrestling shit. And so, I was very weak and brittle down from the recovery. Gyno recovery surgery was, dude, I've had some injuries. I've had some surgeries. The gyno recovery was fucking insane. It's all, obviously in your chest.
Yeah.
And you have these fucking tubes in there that are long tubes that are swirled up in there underneath the skin of the muscle, that are like on a back draw, like with like these little grenades sticking out of your chest, like back suctioning out blood and pus to keep hematomas from happening. I ended up getting a hematoma anyways. But it was a nightmare, dude. It was I'm telling you, a fucking nightmare. You couldn't sleep. You couldn't do anything. It just hurt. I was still working at the time, trying to go to the gym, train clients and shit. It was just, man. So walking around with two blood grenades coming out my side, have to drain them, and
just uncomfortable all the time, probably just
miserable, man. Just fucking miserable. And so that one sucked. But then it heals up, and I start getting into arm wrestling. And I might be jumping around a little bit, but I'm training arm wrestling now for maybe about a year, close to a year of solid training. It's under a year. It's under a year, definitely under a year. And then Dave Depew from San Diego, owns Grinder Gym out in San Diego. He hits me up for a super match. He wants a super match with me. I'm like, and super match and arm wrestling. So basically there's like tournaments where you can, go against a guy one time, maybe face him again in later rounds if he advances, but you pretty much, it's kind of one and done and you advance. In the super match, you go against the same guy, best of 5.
Yeah.
Or best of 6 or 7, depending on the federation. But so here I am, just this new guy in arm wrestling. I suck. Yeah, I really suck, but I'm strong. And Dave, who's been arm wrestling a long time, who's strong as well. I'm like, oh, that seems like I'm gonna get my ass whipped, but whatever, I'll do it. So Larry Wheels is big in arm wrestling at this time. He's been training for several years, 2 or 3 years. He hears, that I'm in the game, and he hits me up. So I'm in Montana, and I get a call from Dave Depew about the match in fucking San Diego coming up in a couple months. So I'm like, shit, all right, yeah, we'll do it. So when we get home from Montana, now it's like on work mode, like training hard, prepping. And I wake up one morning, I wake up super early. So I wake up in the morning, I look, and I have 2 voice messages from Larry Wheels. I'm like, what the fuck is this? So I play it, and I haven't talked to Larry in a while. We competed each other in powerlifting, talked a little bit back in the day, but very minimal communication, not really anything, just 2 different lives. So I listened to it, and Larry's, hey man, I'm hosting King of the Table out here in Dubai. I'd love to have a match with you. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I'm like, all right, we iron out a deal, and I'm like, all right, well, I got this match with Dave Depew coming up. I can't lose this match. Now there's a ton of pressure on me that no one knows about. I can't tell anyone about the King of the Table event, because I think if I lost a match with Dave Depew, Larry might have revoked that invitation.
Yeah.
Kind of what they were waiting on. So I pulled Dave Depew, ended up beating him 3-0, pretty convincingly. And then I get, then it's announced that I'm pulling Larry Wheels. So it was a huge, like, arm wrestling is different than fucking powerlifting, guys. Like, in terms of competing, I know what 800-pound feels like. It's calibrated plates. It's going to weigh the same here as it weighs in Australia, as it weighs in Michigan, as it weighs anywhere.
Yeah.
That's weight. Arm wrestling, man, it's totally different. You have no idea what you could be 10 times stronger than that other guy in every area other than one lane, and that guy can make you look like you have no idea what you're doing. It's a very strange sport. Basically, it's like jiu-jitsu for the wrist is how I try to describe it to people. Some moves counter other moves. A can be B, and it's a very odd sport. And Larry, I know Larry's a fucking freak, like strength. Just no one lives that life like Larry does. People think they train hard. Larry's in the gym all day, every day. There's no exceptions. Like, in fact, no one trains harder than Larry will. So in my head, I'm thinking like, fuck, man, maybe I bit off a little more. I'm nervous. Like, you're going against another man. He could take your fucking soul, and it's going to be for, the internet to see.
Yeah,
and,
I was gonna say, and on that stage too. It's like, this isn't like it's in the back room where he can just talk about it. Everybody,
and it's in Dubai. I got to travel 20 plus hours to get there.
Yeah,
this isn't like somewhere in fucking, in Utah, and things go bad. I can just get in my truck and fucking bone out and hit a bar. Like, we're going to Dubai, in a Muslim country, no alcohol. It's just a totally different experience. Dubai is not what you guys think it is when you see the influencers that are paid to give these positive reviews of it and all this shit online. It's a different area than what it seems like. But I'm kind of aware of that already before I go. So, but again, it's a nerve-wracking. I'm training for Larry, and like, of course, like 6 weeks out, I get a small little injury in my wrist, and I'm like, fuck, man, like, do I even waste everyone's time going out there? Everyone thinks Larry's going to fucking destroy me, that it's a waste of time to even have this match. They're saying bring Eric Spoto out instead, that there's no point for me going, that Larry will destroy me. So, we get out there to Dubai, and here it's so surreal. Here I am, only, a year or so into the sport, and I'm on a card with Hermes Gasparini, Gennady, Devin Larratt, John Brzenk, just the absolute legends of the sport, and the biggest card that exists, King of the Table. And I'm like, fuck. So, and I'm really good at talking shit and pushing buttons. And I destroyed Larry in terms of the press conference and the build up and the banter and things like that. I was in his fucking head so deep. And I had to be. I needed everything I could do to beat this guy, right? I know how strong he is. Like, he bench presses. He's hit 675 on bench press.
Yeah,
so,
no, it's insane.
I beat him in squat, but guess what? That doesn't do anything in terms of our body on the table.
Yeah, when it comes to the table, you're like, that squat maybe help me.
If we can squat in arm wrestling, I'm the guy, but that's not the case. And so I had my match with Larry. First round, come out, he gets a pin on me, but I make him work for it. Second round, come out, I stop him. I go for a press. He catches me. Boom. I get another pin. So I'm down 2-0. I remember going over, and it's best of 6, but they had a silver bowler match, so technically best of 7. But they make you pull 6. But anyways, so I go over the corner. My wife's like, I can see the look in her face. I'm just trying to tell. I can feel what's going on with Larry, and I can feel he has nothing left. That took him everything he has. And the move, I have an outside move and an inside move. So my outside move was strong enough to stop his main move. And then now that those both moves are tired, now I can go to an inside move and using fresh muscles, and he's still using the same set of muscles. So I knew I was safe. I told my wife, I'm like, he's not going to pin me again. I'm going to win this match. It's okay. It's fine. So that's what happens. We go next round. I end up pinning him. I had a foul, redo, pin him again. Another quick pin off the start, another battle, and then another quick pin off the start. So I beat Larry 4-2 after coming down from a 2-point deficit. So it was a big deal. It was, blew the internet up that time. And it was, it sucked for Larry. I really like Larry and he needed to win, but yeah, it wasn't going to be with me. So that happens. We come back from Dubai. Now I'm getting calls for fucking matches everywhere. And it's just, I'm getting guys that are like 10, 15-year pros that are like wanting to match with me because of who I am and, my social media standing and what I've done in the strength world. And I'm like, these guys have no social media presence or anything at all. They just want to capitalize off me and they're killers. Why are you coming at a 2-year guy? You're a 10, 15-year guy.
Yeah.
It was a different time. And I ended up being smart about it and not accepting any bullshit matches. And, during that time, my wife and I decided we wanted to, pursue to have a kid. And so we pursued that, and it took a year off of everything and, ended up, not working. But, it took a lot to get everything re-going again. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about in terms of fertility.
Yeah.
And it really took me down for about a year, really out for a year. So here we are, maybe 8 months ago or less, 7 months ago. And, back in the swing of things, back to competing. I've had 4 matches in the last 5 months, winning my first 3 very convincingly. And then my last most recent match I had out in New Jersey at Knuckles Up 2 versus RVJ Rob. A lot of people know who he is in the arm wrestling world, is a legend. My hand and wrist have gotten extremely strong with all the grip training. I've done grip competitions as well. So all the grip training things I do, but a guy like Rob, who they had me pulling, RVJ, what he's known as, he's a world champion at all the grip stuff. So the strengths I have, he's negating. He's way better than me at them. His fucking fingers were this fucking long. And I went out to New Jersey and got my ass whooped. Not real good, 3-0. I mean, it was a fight, don't get me wrong. It wasn't just like right to the pad, but yeah, it was a big loss. And here I am recovering after that and now just training again. I got a couple matches planned coming up. I also I really, like I said, I like the grip training and the grip sport and arm lifting, doing all the pinch blocks and all that kind of stuff, working on my hand strength, because that was a weakness of mine in powerlifting, obviously, with that 887 deadlift drop. So I've been enjoying that. I've also been training a lot of strict curl. A good friend of mine, Leroy Walker, broke the American record, 250-pound strict curl. That got me interested. So I've been training that super hard and working on getting those numbers up. And it's just another sport to compete in. But I know I kind of went all over the place on that who I am. But I'm sure you got an idea at this point.
Oh yeah, no, I think that opens up everything for everybody. It's like show you where you've been and everything like that. We'll go into the mental aspect of it because, like, I know that getting the acclimates you've had and all those accomplishments are just insane and everything like that. But I'm like, you can't get to that level without some mental toughness, to have the strength to get into the gym all the time, the dedication to do that. Like, what has been one of your main driving factors into just competing that hard? And
well, you got to be a little autistic, to do the same thing every single day, no matter what, over and over again, no matter how bad it hurts. Yeah, I mean, I've always been tougher than I am smart, and I've been really good at pushing myself on things. And if I have a task, I'm really good at I'm task oriented. So if you give me, if I have a date, give me a date for something. I'm very good at planning for that date and accomplishing what I want. When I don't have a date, I'm kind of a wild guy, and I get myself into some trouble sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So competing has always been a good thing for me, keeping me focused, keeping me on the straight and narrow, and giving me a date. But yeah, just to say the mental toughness of it, it was tough. It was tough to push myself, and so many hours that are unseen that there's no glory for. So many injuries that are unseen, there's no glory for it. and just keep pushing through it and keep doing it. It was, you know, I was going to do it anyways in something. I was either going to do something destructive or do something positive for myself, you know. So, you know, luckily I found weightlifting, and that kind of was, you know, my driving factor was just to continue to get strong and better, you know, at things. You know, a big part of the mental aspect of it, you know, that's kind of overlooked and maybe more prevalent in today's topics, but definitely wasn't at the time, was the social media aspect of it. You know, here, you know, I grew up, there wasn't social media when I was in school. There was like Facebook towards the end, I think, but there was no, there wasn't Facebook yet. That was when I was after high school. But there was MySpace. That's what I'm trying to say. MySpace. That's right. And you know, we made fun of you if you had MySpace. You're a fucking dork. You know, you lose your playing on the fucking computer. And here I am, a social media guy. You know, fast forward, right?
Yeah.
But you know, we just didn't have any of that. There was no like shit talking that, you know, wasn't taken care of immediately. And you know, when I get in the social media aspect of things, you got some little fucking dork telling you, you know, what he's gonna do to you and your wife. And you know, this fucking guy would sprint across the street if he saw me walking with my mini schnauzer. Like he would, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's it was that was hard to that was really hard to take, especially because when I was younger, I was a loose fucking cannon, bro. You know, I found God later in life, and I've turned my life around, and you know, but I was a loose cannon when I was younger, and I'd get myself in trouble because of that. So, you know, having this social media and putting my lifts out there, my accomplishments, my, you know, being proud of it, and then just having some fucking loser just, you know, taking you down. And, you know, especially when you're young, it's easy to say, oh, don't let those things bother you, but it bothers you. You read it and you're like, whoa, what the fuck? Why does this person think that about me? And you
Yeah, it
don't
still
realize,
gets to you. You can't get away from, like, it's like, why the fuck would you say this to me? It's no matter how big, it's like, no, it's gonna piss somebody off.
right. So it's, you know, it was tough, learning to ignore the trolls, you know,
Yeah.
and like learning like these people are fucking toxic, dude. Like they're not for you. So that was a tough aspect when I first got into the social media game, and especially when popularity started growing more and more. And you know, you hear me talk, I'm a loose lip guy. I talk shit. I say what's on my mind. It's just not what it used to be. You know what I mean? And I found myself on the outs in that community very quickly. Just did not wasn't for me. And that's one thing that's been great about arm wrestling. I know I'm jumping a little bit, but the arm wrestling world is like most of its audience is like Eastern Europe, and
Yep.
just this woke shit doesn't exist in it. You know what I mean? It's just a totally different world. It's quite refreshing, but it's like, yeah, all things good. You know, it's still niche and underground as it grows. Yeah. So you know, just on the mental aspect of things, um, powerlifting was harder in dealing with the people. Arm wrestling is way harder in terms of the competition, like what it can do to you. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
you have another man grabbing you and dictating what you're doing. Like it can take that big tough guy and it can take it right out of you real fucking quick. And you gotta you know, fight within the rules. You gotta arm wrestle within the rules. So it's tough. And in the last match I had, I kind of knew I was going to lose. You know, there was a chance. There was a chance. I mean, it was a fight. There was a chance I could win for sure, but it was more likely that I would lose. And when you're offered a match like that versus a legend a world champion like RBJ, you take it. It doesn't.
Yeah.
You fucking take that match. See where you stand. If you lose, you're supposed to lose. It's okay. In a few years, you'll be ready for that caliber of guy. You know, or maybe even less than a few years. So, um, that's one thing about arm wrestling too. When I say the mental aspect of it, like how I told you, you can be significantly stronger than that guy in every area other than one lane, and he can make you look like you don't know what you're doing. So think of it as like in terms of a bench press. Let's say you bench press 315. You're here in my garage. I'm spotting you. It was clean, but that was it. 315 was your max, and that is your true one rep max. What happens if I put 330 on the bar? You're
Yeah.
going to get fucking pinned. It might as well be 400.
Yeah.
You're going to get fucking pinned. You know what I mean? You're not going to move it off of you. So think about that in arm wrestling and just a lane. You could be right there so close to that guy. He could be a little bit stronger than you, and it can make you look like you have no idea what the fuck you're doing. So that's another mental aspect of it that's scary, because you can prep so hard in all these different lanes and think you're good, and that guy might be strong at this one lane that you're just not there yet. And that's what happens. That's what happened to me this last match. I got turned palm up, and I'm not strong palm up. I'm strong flat handed and pronated. So it's that's all it takes. You know,
Yeah.
to
So
make
it's a game of strength and
it
positioning. It's like getting out of position there can just fuck your whole match
totally.
up.
And then when you then like you can like you just get smoked around because you tried to like go high and that wasn't the right lane. Then you can try the next one shooting low and then beat the guy. But can you stay in it mentally after you just went to your ace? Because sometimes your ace may not work, but your plan B might be better than his plan B. And when your ace gets smoked, it kind of eats you up mentally. Like that was the first time I experienced that at that level where I was like, fuck, I don't know what to do. I was like, let's just get this over with. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, I was like, I want to go home. This sucks. Or I want to go to the bar.
Yeah. So you had obviously shifted into the powerlifting and arm wrestling, but you used to be a football player. And
Yeah.
what so you played high school and then you played college. Do you like a team sport? Did you like the camaraderie there, or is that why you went to solo? As it was like more me against me on powerlifting and arm wrestling kind of thing, or
So I absolutely missed the commodity for sure. I missed that aspect of it. I had it in other aspects of my life. I used to bounce and stuff like that, so I would get it through that. And then when I got big into powerlifting, the online coaching took over, and I didn't have to risk going to fucking jail every night. You know what I mean? And it just I got more comfortable with that lifestyle. I'd be lying if I said I don't miss like the bro having your bro. Like I have a buddy that comes over and trains with me, a couple days a week, and that's like my favorite time. You know what I mean? I love that the most. I wish there was two or three other guys, in the area that would, be willing to do that. And that's one thing I miss about having a gym. I didn't really cover that, but during COVID, I was told I can't operate my business, but I still have to pay my mortgage. And
yeah,
we were, eating a big mortgage, and it was not something that we had the savings to do for very long. And luckily, I was able to sell my business and or sell the location, not my business. And then my small location, I ended up closing and moving it into my garage out here where I live in Boulder City, which is about 30 miles outside of Vegas. So, that sucked too. That was it was a rough fucking time, man. I went from top of the world powerlifting to blowing out my knee. All that's gone. Then the motorcycle accident. Now any hope of coming back is gone. To COVID hit, all the meets we had planned, all the business deals we had, and everything we had planned to make money shut down. Can't fucking do it. All the money we had, that's just done. To then it just downward spiral, man. It just fucking kept going down, down, down. And I'm lucky to have arm wrestling because I'm meeting a new group of guys in arm wrestling that aren't, I had a pretty decent group of powerlifting guys, but we're also scattered throughout the country, and we're all like-minded in terms of my group of friends of them. But in arm wrestling, it's a little more local, in terms of I got Nevada guys, I got California guys, Arizona guys, Utah guys, so we're all kind of right here. And arm wrestling requires more more fellowship amongst people because you have to have another guy to arm wrestle with, right? So people are more inclined to travel to go to gyms to train with you or go to practices to train with you. As with powerlifting, it's like, yeah, if you're in Vegas, swing by the gym, we'll shoot a video, you know what I mean? That'll be fun, but you don't really need somebody, you know what I mean? You can like motivate each other by sending your buddy a video of him like, dude, shit, he just fucking crushed 800 for 3 reps on deadlift. I got to get that, you know what I mean? Like, or in arm wrestling, you can't really do that.
yeah.
Yeah, but to say I did love team sports. I grew up racing BMX as well too, so that was more individualized. And I surfed as well, so that was individualized. And I don't know, the powerlifting just came easy because the gym was always something I just always did no matter what. It was just, even when I was playing football, I probably took the gym more serious than I did football. I was always the strongest guy on the team, always very fast too, always one of the fastest until I got to college. I ran a 4.64 in college at 265 pounds. So,
That's
when you're in high school at, 235 running a 4.59, I was usually the fastest guy out there. Obviously, we play some schools, in LA that wasn't the case, but, for the most part, but yeah, I like the group aspect of the arm wrestling more than I like the individuality of powerlifting. So,
yeah. You were saying because Utah, I'm actually from Utah, and I think Cody Merritt.
Good buddy of mine. I helped him with his programming.
Oh, really? So Cody, me and Cody played football together up here, and Cody's a good guy.
I love Cody.
So yeah, that's why I got onto the team things. I was like, that's how I know Cody, and that's one of the things that I'd followed with you and everything like that when I saw you guys together. And so I was like, there's a little connection there. So
yeah, no, dude, Cody, man, he's a killer. He's number one guy in North America left hand. He just lost to a guy at the same event I was at in New Jersey, but the guy is from Poland. He's not a North American. But yeah, Cody's a fucking monster. I love that dude. I've been friends with him for a couple years now. We pulled in a tournament when I was natty, like in down to 260 pounds. Whether I was big and juiced up, it probably wouldn't have made anything, but he smacked me pretty good in a tournament that I pulled him in. But yeah, I like Cody a lot.
Yeah. And so when you were talking about all this stuff kind of piling on, I mean, that sounds fucking brutal to have to hit one hit after another. Like, how do you cope with those kind of things? Is there something, I mean, for me, like a coping mechanism, I go to the gym, you know, and now I'm running this helps me with some things. And it's like, with all that, it's got to get rough. Were there things you leaned into or?
Yeah. My wife is my number one supporter and the reason why I get through any of this. You know what I mean? We got each other's back. She always has my back. You know, like I decide I want to be a world champion powerlifter. Okay, babe, on it. How much food do you need? Hey, I want to do this arm wrestling thing. On it. What do you need? Like, it's just, you know, she supports me in anything I decide to do. So definitely would be my wife would be my number one support and who I lean to when things get rough. But you know, I'd be lying if I'm some, you know, perfect guy. You know, I'm a Christian, I'm a sinner. You know, I lean on alcohol, I lean on marijuana, you know, I party. There's things like that I use that are probably self-destructive, but you know, it is what it is. And I do my best to not use those things in negative coping matters and use them in more positive social ways, which I think I have a pretty good way of doing today. I haven't like it's been a while since I've been like on a drinking bender, like getting myself like being self-destructive and getting in some trouble. You know, now I like casually will have some drinks and stuff like that. But you know, definitely through those rough times, you know, I drink. I drink quite a bit. And you know, it definitely wasn't the right way. But church changed my life. You know, going to church every Sunday is really give me something to look forward to and make me be a better person and have better accountability and more integrity, doing the right thing when no one's watching type of thing. You know what I mean? Because there is someone watching. And so that would probably be yeah, I would say that's probably been the biggest change in my life that has kept me, you know, fucking on the straight and narrow.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause I obviously I drank and everything like that and partied. And I remember just when I used to be in that stage, when I was doing it in a negative way, like you said, because I don't have a problem with drinking at all. But like for me, I got to the point where it was just that's all I could do to function.
Right.
Like I had to get through the day. I had to have my alcohol at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it's like getting away from that and learning and having support, like you're saying, with your wife and now with religion. It's one of the key things. Like that's one of the key things that got me away from being in that stage and having to turn to alcohol just constantly. And it's like if you don't have that support around you and people there to support you, it's rough.
Yeah, you know, my wife can pick up on it. She can know when I'm getting low and doing bad, and the drinking's kind of repetitive and not really as much of a fun thing anymore. And luckily for her, she has like the most self-control of anyone I know. She'll just be like, you know, if we normally having a drink with me, and then it's like kind of every night. It's been all right. It's been a couple weeks every night, and then she'll be like, I don't want to drink tonight, and I'm like, all right, well, I'll have a drink of wine by myself, like a fucking loser. You do that two or three nights in a row, you're like, all right, this is stupid. I'm not going to drink either. So she's always been great at like, because she tells me if anyone tells me what to do, fuck you. I'm doing the opposite. It's just been my mentality. I don't like that. I'm like that. It's just how I am. So if she were to tell me, hey, you need to stop drinking, I'd be like, fuck you. I'm going to the bar. Like, you know, and maybe not that, you know, my wife, I love my wife, but in my head, I would say that and I would do it in my own way.
Yeah.
Where as opposed to just telling what to do, just kind of leading by the example or kind of steering me away from it. And you really want to go to the bar, you know, and not really. I just kind of feel like I need to. You're right. I don't need to go. And you know, we have a good way of handling each other.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure she's got her hands full dealing with me. I'm a 300-pound fucking lunatic at times. So
I mean, it takes a strong woman to handle all that.
She just corrected me. I'm 312. I know. I'm a little heavy right now.
You're like, let's not get particular here. It's fine.
Yeah, we don't need to get in there.
We can round up and down.
I could ask her the way. No, I'm just kidding.
You never do that. So throughout this whole process of getting into lifting and all that stuff, what do you think the best advice you've gotten from somebody would be?
So cliche. All you youngsters are going to say, fuck you. And as you should, because I said the same thing to everyone before me, but it's a fucking marathon, not a sprint, dude. Here I am at 35, so broken, so many fucking injuries. Like, man, and why? Because I sprinted for 10 years through my 20s. Sprinted, dead sprint, as hard as you can go. And I shaved a lot of years off my life, that's for sure. I I did a lot of damage. Like I said, I may be 35, but I got the miles of a 7-year-old on my body. You know what I mean? It's been through the ringer. So best advice, just take it slow, man. I know it's hard. I know it's easy to watch these douchebags online blasting trend and all these drugs and take, in amazing physiques, early 20s. There's some freaks that genetically just have that. There's most that don't. Just a slow, steady process. You can only put on so much muscle every year. Consistency is key. Doing a little for a lot is always better than doing a lot for a little. That would be the number one thing for me to and I've never had an issue with that. I've been consistent my entire life. I don't ever stop training. Never have. So that would be my best advice to someone young. Doing a little for a lot is always better than doing a lot for a little. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Think about when you're 40. I know when you're 20, I'm not going to make it to 40. What are you talking about? That's how I fucking thought. Like, what do you mean when I'm 50? You think I'm going to live to be fucking 50? You're out of your mind.
Yeah, I told everybody, I'm not ever like, you probably won't make it to 35. And I'm like, somehow I did. I don't know how. And to this day, I'm like, no, I probably should have died, but somehow still here, almost 40.
Definitely.
And I'm like,
I definitely rolled the dice and knocked on the devil's door too many times. Thank God he never answered.
yeah. And so then we'd go to the opposite. What would be the worst advice you think you've been ever given?
Run trend, bro.
Never listen to that guy.
Never listen to that guy. Trent is the fucking nemesis, dude, to you. I haven't done trend since 2016. I did it for about 2 years on and off, and legit psycho, like legit insane. Like it makes you insane. And then you'll be sitting there in a jail cell thinking, what the fuck did I just do? Was that worth it? And it never is. I promise you that. That split second decision that you made at the gas station of fucking punching that fucking dude that said something to you, you can be sitting in prison for the next five years longer. He could die. Or you could get in there and your first fucking weekend, someone's going to ask you to put in some work, and you just turn that 2-year sentence into a 10-year stretch. So you just don't do drugs that are going to make you kind of crazy. Trend's one of them. And just remember, there's long-term consequences to everything you do, especially for the women and even guys. Putting pictures of yourself up on the internet, sending pictures to guys and videos to guys. Those videos exist forever. Your kids will find them. I promise you 100% your kids will find them. They will Google their mom's name one day. They'll do an AI image search. Everything's gonna be so advanced in the next few years where they can just, you can put it, just your mom's social media, and then boom, every video that she's ever made that's out there, boom, it'll pull it up. Just remember, man, there's long-term consequences to shit. I just hate to see the young kids and the young girls, especially, a young, decent powerlifter who's decently strong, maybe not really, anything to be special, but she's pretty cute, and then starts doing OnlyFans, gets all this massive popularity, blows up, and then other girls can see that and they want it too. And it just, those pictures will be there forever. You're gonna have to explain that to your husband or your kids one day. So keep that in mind. And I'm not talking about any personal experience. We don't have any personal experience with this. I'm just saying what I see from other people. It's just, it's fucked up.
Yeah. No, I can definitely agree there. That you got to think about the consequences in the long term, and like you said, do things little by little, trust the process. And I mean, the big hurry quick to fame things, not the way to go. Kind of like getting on trend. It's like the consequence outweighs the reward.
Right. Like if you get on trend, you will get stronger. I promise you, you will. If you sell your body online, you will make a lot of money, or make more money than you're making now. A lot's relative, because I've heard OnlyFans girls boasting about how much money they made this year, and they made 50 grand. I'm like, what the fuck? You put your body out there online for $50,000 and you think that's something to be proud of? You could have made that being a fucking waitress, cocktail server. Like, it's just baffling.
No. Yeah, that just the way things turn now, especially with social media and stuff like that. Like, social media has its bonuses, but it has its downsides. Like you said, with the people, the keyboard warriors, and then people doing that kind of things. It's like, you have to take the bad with the good, but at the same time, are the bads worth it,
Right. 100%.
I know, like, so when we get into kind of talking about those things, like, what do you think society's lacking right now? And what do you think what they need to make things just a better place?
Yeah, God, for 100% God. They need whoever your God is, but obviously Christianity is, what I'm pushing. Definitely God's lacking, and because with God comes a lot of things, with morality, with integrity, things like that. Just the lack of shame in our culture today is the biggest issue. I would say one of the biggest issues. People need to fucking hear the truth. This coddling and telling people what you think they want to hear, it's not the answer. You know, leadership is lacking. Take the fucking lead by example. You know, show people what you want, what you expect of them, but you know, and they'll reciprocate it. And if they don't, get them out of your fucking life, you know. And so, yeah, mainly God. People need God, brother.
Yeah.
Whatever your God is, that's what you need.
Yeah. You gotta have something, some sort of faith there because if not, the consequences for you don't seem, it's like you
They're not
you
real.
lack them. You're like, fuck it, I'm going to die and nothing's there. And there's no
Right.
reason for me to live right.
Yep. It's there's no real world consequences to what you do. And if you just think that you live this fleshly body, you know, it's unfortunate. And hopefully, maybe some of you can look at someone like me and think of, even I can be saved, and you can too.
Yeah. No, I think that's you know, when you talk about the life you've lived and everything like that, it's like, if I can do these things and come back, it's like, why not? That's kind of one of the reasons I started this. Was I've made a bunch of mistakes. I've done a bunch of dumb shit, gone to
Yeah.
jail, bar fights, all kinds of stuff, living that kind of life. And this was my turnaround point of like getting things out there where people can go in and see that you can fuck up, see that you can do these things and that you can make a difference by not just talking the talk, but walking it and being
Absolutely.
that better person.
I didn't get into detail for a reason, but I've lived a really, really wild life, all right? Especially when I was younger, really rough life. So, you know, like I said, if someone like me can turn it around, I promise you, you haven't been in the shit I've been into. You know what I mean? I promise you haven't. You can turn it around too.
And I think that speaks to kind of like the mental toughness I was talking about in competing. It's just like having that mental toughness. You have to build it. And some of the most mentally strong people, they've been through some shit. And like a lot of the people in the gym, like when you see guys like you that are just animals, it's like, we've been through shit. Like they had that shit, and that's how they got through this stuff, is by working through
That guy's not torturing himself, because working out is torturing yourself. He's not torturing himself to a high level for nothing. It's like, all right, you got it. You're in shape. Now stop. Nope. I'm taking it further. You know,
Yep. They want to keep
I'm going to
pushing
get
that
so
limit.
big, I'm going to be out of shape.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, I think we're hitting on most things. I guess the last thing to say, if anybody could take one thing from this episode, like what would you say to take just from the talking process here?
Um, man, you know, I don't want to be that guy, but you know, just look deep inside you, and you know, if you have questions about things, and if it's about spirituality, or you know, just God and anything like that, ask somebody, ask some questions, ask someone that, you know, ask me, shoot me a DM on Instagram. Um, talk to someone about some stuff like that, and you'll find so much more peace in your life. You'll find so much more fucking peace in your life. When you turn your life over to God, and don't get me wrong, I'm a work in progress, brother. I'm a huge work in progress. But knowing there's light at the end of the tunnel, knowing you have a path, and like I said, I'm a structure guy. Give me something to fucking do, give me a task, and I'll accomplish it. I don't know. I just don't see anything that could be better for someone than finding God. I really don't see anything else that if you could take anything away from me, just know that my life improved dramatically when I found Jesus.
Yep. No, I think that's a great thing to tell people and to get out there. And I guess we'll say, where can people find you? Where your websites? I know you have your Instagram and everything like that, and then you have your filthy power.
Power Industries. Yep. Yeah. So you can find me on Instagram. That's where I'm most active. I post pretty much daily all my whatever kind of weight training I'm doing, grip training, arm wrestling, strict curl, things like that. That's at Brandon Allen Filthy Power. And then on YouTube, same thing, Brandon Allen Filthy Power. I do a live show every Monday night. I do I do several other podcasts and stuff throughout the week, just kind of randomly, and friends and stuff like that. So kind of in the arm wrestling circle now. Every now and then a strength guy comes up and asks me to do a podcast with them, and like you, and I'm like, yeah, man, let's do it. So you can find me doing things like that. If you want to support me, you can head over to filthypowerindustries.com. I have merch available. I have programs, templates from arm wrestling training to powerlifting to, you know, prepping for powerlifting to strict curl, grip training, all kinds of cool stuff, super affordable stuff. So you can support me that way. And again, man, if you have any questions about anything on this podcast, shoot me a message on Instagram. That's where you're going to get the quickest response. And I'd love to talk to you.
Okay, that's great. And I just like to thank you for coming on here and sharing and bringing all that stuff. It was really fun to get to talk to you, and especially like because I've followed you for a long time and seeing the things you've had, I was always like, for one, you seem like a really genuine dude that I was just like, I hope that's real, and I'm like, it's got to be. But the way you reach back out to me and everything like that, I'm like, he's got no filter, and I love that. And so
I don't know how to have a filter, man. You're either gonna love me or hate me, but you're gonna know who the real me is. You're never gonna fucking get blindsided by me. It's always gonna be like, oh yeah, that's Brandon. That's something Brandon would say for sure.
nice.
Yeah.
Yep. So thanks so much for your time, and I think unless there's anything else you wanted to share out there, then we can call it.
No, man, I just want to thank you again for giving me the opportunity to reach some new people. I hope that you took something from this positive. I hope that your fans did as well. And like I said, man, if you ever have anything, if you need anything from me, shoot me a message and gladly give you a hand.
Sounds great, man. Hey, thank you so much.
Take care, brother.
Yeah.